This is our Katy Bowman calf stretch. We credit Katy Bowman with showing us how to do this stretch. I believe she outlined how to do it in her book, Move Your DNA. Great read, by the way. You can use this stretch as a way to prepare for more aggressive movement. So this is a movement preparation stretch. You can use it to prepare your feet, lower limbs, or your knees for more movement, or as a way to address problems in those areas. So it is also a corrective movement. So you may struggle with some plantar fascia issues, the fascia on the bottom of the feet. You may struggle with some issues in the back of the lower limb, posterior compartment, gastroc, soleus, maybe the nerves or vessels in the lower limb. Or you may struggle with fully extending your knee or extending your knee as much as you can in the gait cycle. Sometimes people develop that habit as a result of bad footwear or a past knee injury. Either way, this stretch is very good for addressing all of those issues. So you'll need a half foam roller and or a yoga block. Half foam roller is not as necessary. This will make the stretch way less intense. I actually think that a yoga block works a lot better for the stretch. So find your yoga block or your half foam roller and place it on the floor in front of you. So here we have our yoga block right in front of us. I have a cork yoga block here. And just a note about the yoga block, it will tilt up as you do this stretch. That's okay. That's part of the stretch. We're not balancing on the thing, so it's not like we need it to be super stable. So the yoga block is in front of you, and part one of the stretch is simply to place the ball of your foot on the yoga block with your heel on the ground. And you'll see that the leading edge of the yoga block tilts up, and there's this sort of force couple relationship. So I've got pressure from the floor coming up toward the yoga block and pressure from my foot going into the yoga block, keeping the yoga block in place. And the yoga block is now mimicking what I want my ankle to do, which is to dorsiflex, so the toes are coming up toward the ceiling. So this might be enough stretch for you, just hanging out in this position. Many people already feel a stretch when they start this part one of the Katy Bowman calf stretch. If you feel a stretch there and you want to spend time there and let things lengthen out, great. I would encourage you to extend your knee, and you could do that repeatedly, or you could just try to drive the knee back with one long extension. Either way, we're looking for length in the back of the lower limb and the hamstrings and all the way into the calf. If you would like to progress this stretch, you can move to part two of the Katy Bowman calf stretch. So part two is this progression where we start to bring the opposite foot forward. So as I bring that opposite foot forward, it's going to be really important for me not to hinge in this way in my hips. So toe balls on the yoga block, heel on the ground. I bring my opposite foot forward, and I'm trying not to hinge. But also, I'm bringing my center of gravity or my center of mass over my right foot, because I'm stretching on the right side right now. So sort of listing your pelvis over that direction is part of the movement. And here, you may start to feel some pretty intense stretching happening in the lower limb, or in even the tissue that ties into the periosteum or the skin of the bone of your heel. That's great. If that's what you need today, go with it. If you want to progress this, part three is to start to travel the foot a lot further forward. And on a good day, you might even be able to get your other foot in front of the yoga block. Avoid trying to hinge at this point. We'll bring in that hinge here in just a little bit. And so that's part three. So in review, part one is we just simply stretch the calf in this way, stretch the lower limb in this way with one foot behind, one foot on the yoga block. Part two is to bring the other foot forward. Part three is to bring it further forward. And part four is to try to hinge repeatedly in this position. as I hinge repeatedly, I'm thinking about flossing the vessels and the nerves in the back of my right leg over and over again. So I might be thinking about the sciatic nerve, or I might be thinking about the tibial artery, or other vessels or nerves that run down the length of the back of my thigh and leg. And you can do this repeatedly until you start to feel a difference. And lastly, we just want to feel the difference in one limb compared to the other. So putting awareness on what you achieved is really important. You could do this by just standing there or by walking around and feeling the difference in how your feet move on the ground. So in review, our stretches are part 1, toe balls on the yoga block, heel on the ground, just like this. Part 2, travel that other foot forward. In this case, I'm traveling my left foot forward while I'm stretching on the right. Part 3, travel it forward a little bit more. Part 4, hinge repeatedly. Couple notes, the yoga block will tilt up. Also, I'm trying to move my pelvis over the side that I'm stretching. So that's the Katy Bowman calf stretch. Enjoy it.